The Deal News Podcast, episode 229 for September 26th. Map Wars. I am joined by Lewis and Dan. Hey, fellas.
Hey, everyone.
Hey, Jeff.
How's it going?
Good. Things are well.
Very good.
Yeah, it's very good. Are you all enjoying this this autumn that we seem to be in? No. Dan, this doesn't apply to you.
Yeah, I know. It's like global warming every day of the year out here. So
30 degrees, sunny.
See, it's weird. Like after asking you guys how you're doing, there's no other small talk we could do because we're in different parts of the country. So if I'm like, oh, how about this weather? Lewis will be like, oh, I love the fall. And I'll be like, well, it feels like summer. So yeah, not really good. So it's not a podcast about small talk anyway. So let's get into some of our news here. This is some follow-up to the announcements about the new iPhone that we covered last week. It looks like the internet is ablaze with anger about the Apple Maps. Apparently, they are the worst thing ever. You have gotten an iPhone, have you?
No.
No, not in the week since we've been away. You didn't change your mind.
I did post a very funny meme about the iPhone map problem on my personal Facebook page.
I did not see that.
Yeah, it's got a picture of Tom Hanks from Castaway sitting on the island. It says,
okay, I saw it.
Buy an iPhone, they said. It's got maps, they said.
Yeah, apparently anytime you look for directions or a location, it's way off. I don't know. I have a friend that is like a developer. He's an app developer for iPhone. And he was running the beta for quite a while before the big release. He says that it never gave him any sort of trouble.
Yeah, I have to vouch for that. I updated my Touch to iOS 6. It just has a different feel to it, but so far it hasn't given me any errors. But then again, I haven't really used it too much, so
right. Do you have
I might have used it like 3 times.
Do you have it handy? Do you have it nearby?
Yeah. Let me hold on.
Do you use it to like navigate through your apartment?
Where's that kitchen again? I don't remember where that kitchen is.
Man, I'll tell you what, it'd be a great app if you could just say, like, where are my keys?
Well, one day everything will be RFID chipped. RFID. I don't think the RFID people like calling it RFID.
No.
One day
sounds like a
will
dog's name, though.
RFID.
It actually does.
I would name my dog.
That's a pretty good one.
Yeah.
It reminds me of Arvid from Head of the Class. Does anyone else remember Head of the Class? The movie with Howard Hessman?
Here you have. You're probably not going to be able to see it very well.
Oh, look at
but that's the Apple version. There you go. So it's a little slightly different, and here is Google's version. I don't know. There's just something about Google's version that looks a little bit nicer. Maybe I'm just used to it. But yeah, I haven't run into any major problems with the Apple version.
Have you do a search right now for
Yeah, give me an address.
I don't know. The first address that comes to mind is mine, and I'm not going to give that out.
I'll do the office. Our office in Brooklyn.
Yeah, see if
there
the
you
office. See, are they having a problem with specific locations like address, or are they just having a problem when people say things like Heathrow Airport or
Or is it a navigational issue? Like, I need to go here. What's the best way? And
I read that somewhere that there was like a city that they wiped out by mistake or something like that. I think somewhere in Scandinavia it doesn't exist.
Wow.
So, all right. So, are you searching for the office? What's the?
Yeah. So, see, I typed in 45 Main Street, and
sure. Now all the fans are going to flood to the office.
New Jersey, North Carolina, Alabama, Ohio, the Rockaways, but I'm not getting Dumbo, Brooklyn. Well, it's probably closer to where I am right now than.
That's so strange. Wouldn't you think that the AI in that program would be able to say, "Oh, okay, Lewis is in New Jersey. He needs to go to the closest address."
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Give him Dumbo, which is
to defend. Well, this has happened to me many times with Google Maps because you can set like a home location in Google Maps, and anytime I start searching for directions and I ask for something like 45 Main Street, oftentimes it does like 45 Main Street, Philadelphia first, even though I've set my home location as Brooklyn, so it should know.
Yeah, so I just typed in 45 Main Street and I added Brooklyn, and the map gives me DeSoto National Forest.
Oh, we've moved locations.
Yes. DeSoto National Forest.
Okay. So it's
Sound
not
like Brooklyn to me.
so
Yeah.
it's so funny because you hear about the problems online about like these this map problem, and you just think, well, these are a handful of people all getting together to complain. And I honestly thought that it would go off without a hitch when I asked you to test it, Lewis. But I
Yeah,
guess
I'm
it's
shocked, like right off the bat. Yeah, so it's a
everyone, huh?
45 Main Street, Brooklyn, Mississippi. Why would it give me Brooklyn, Mississippi versus Brooklyn, New
Uh,
York? I don't
unless we
know.
didn't get the memo,
Well,
I'm
right.
thinking.
I mean, is this is a problem because they're not up with Google's analytics software anymore, so they don't know who is doing the most searches for what and sorting it
Oh.
that way. I'm guessing, right? Because
Yeah,
Google, anytime you search like 45 Main Street, Brooklyn, they're going to parse Brooklyn and say, what's the percent chance that someone is searching for Brooklyn, New York over Brooklyn, Mississippi, and probably serve up the more popular one. And Apple just doesn't have that. They don't have that kind of data. Now this is a problem. I guess Apple was contacted by All Things D, and they said, quote, as the Apple rep, customers around the world are upgrading to iOS 6 with over 200 new features, including Apple Maps, our first map service. We are excited to offer this service with innovative new features like flyover and Siri integration and free turn-by-turn navigation. We launched this new map service knowing that it is a major initiative and we are just getting started with it. We are
Hmm.
continuously improving it, and as crowd-based solution, the more people use it, the better it will get. We're also working with developers to integrate blah, 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 blah. So what they're saying is that they know that they released it poor because since it's a crowdsourced type of thing, they're relying on the users to make it better. Now, there's something to be said for that, but there's also something to be said for releasing something that works right out of the box.
Right.
And if you were to ask me which Apple is going to release, I would have said working right out of the box. If you asked me what kind Google was going to release, I would have said, oh, the kind that gets better the more people use it.
right.
Right.
So I don't know. What do you guys think? Should Apple have not released this thing because of these problems?
It falls into suit with everybody else. It's like even Google Maps. As much as I love Google Maps, there are still times where it'll send me on a wild goose chase and take me like 3 or 4 miles out of the way. Like if I could have gone a straight line, I would have, but it said, no, get off here, go down this road, and then make a U-turn, and then get back on the freeway to go where you were going.
The exact thing
Right.
happened to me a couple months ago. Yeah, I agree. But there's
Yes.
a difference between that where, all right, so you go like 15 minutes out of your way and it has you turn around and come back. At least it knows where you're going. You
Well,
know,
yes, that is true. But
whereas like,
when you're on a toll road and you have to pay the toll three
oh,
times, that
yeah,
kind of sucks.
that probably wouldn't be very good.
I could send the bill to Google, I guess.
Right. Thanks for your mapping software. So I don't know. Do you think this will get better, or do you think that people are going to be so frustrated with it that they won't use it, so it will never get any better? And then in the end, Apple is just going to have to give up on it and go back to Google Maps.
Man, I'm really surprised that they would release something that wasn't super close to being pristine. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? It's like
Right.
because that's always been Apple's mantra from the get-go.
exactly.
Unlike Microsoft and unlike other software manufacturers that pretty much release, you know, beta status
Right. Yeah, remember their
software.
whole like just works thing,
Right. It
Right.
just works.
And
Yeah.
like, I mean, even some of the actual images of the locations, like bridges and stuff like that. I don't know if you guys saw online where people would take a screenshot of like, this select bridge, and the bridge is like all lopsided, or it looks like some sort of like, painting or something, like a Van Gogh or something like that.
Yeah.
So I mean, it seems like it was just like a ton of problems, but Apple just said, you know what, go with it,
Yeah.
run it as
That
it is.
seems so odd. Now that, in one sense, well, I'm not an Apple fan person, like I always say every episode, but this kind of worries me that they're going to be heading down that same path for the sake of getting software out as soon as possible, or or features out as soon as possible, like everybody else. And then, once they start hearing the complaints, they make and they push the upgrades and all that,
Yeah.
which kind of, I don't know, puts a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth towards Apple. Like, now I'm sitting there going, well, do I really want to upgrade to the iPhone 5?
Sour apples.
So-
Just
so
like
to
the
speak,
idea of
yeah.
apples. But I mean, what else could they have done for this? I mean, clearly it is something that they're hoping to crowdsource. could they have put it through, I don't know, like a limited beta testing of just all their employees for a while, but then they get really good results for the Cupertino area and not really anywhere else. I think they're really banking on their wide user base making this better. I don't see how they could have made this better, but it is also interesting that they made the choice to release something like this. I mean, even if you want to be punitive towards Google, because clearly that's what they're doing, right? They don't want to give Google any more data from all of their users for Google then to use to serve up better ads and better maps and whatever. So that's why they're taking this over. But it just seems punitive to another company at the cost of ease and convenience for your own users. I don't know. Is this going to be one of those things where in a month's time, since everyone's still going to be using it and it's going to get better, we're going to forget about completely? Or do you think this is going to have long-term knock-on effects to the maps? Like I said, people not using it so that their maps never get better, so people never use it, and it just kind of like stagnates like Mobile Me, you know?
Right. That's the one reason I didn't upgrade my 4S to iOS 6, because I want to stick with Google Maps. And I know Google Maps, they're going to have their app for it. No, I don't think they released a date for it yet.
No, they haven't. In fact, when they were asked, they kind of did back and forth of whether they have even submitted one.
Right.
Which, I mean, do you think that Google is kind of sitting on that? How awful it's get for
Let Apple squirm a little bit.
Right? Because I mean,
maybe.
the longer they let this go, the more frustrated the Apple iPhone users are going to be with the maps. So that finally, when Google sweeps in and says, "Oh, our app is back for your iPhone, you can use it again," like everyone will jump ship. Whereas
That's what's going to happen,
right? I mean,
everyone will jump ship. Yeah,
I would think so.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting, Louis, that you held off updating to the new iOS 6. Just because of maps.
Just because of maps. Because I use Google Maps a lot on my 4S. I use it a lot.
Yeah,
right. And so that's why I say, oh, you know what? I have an iPod Touch. Let me upgrade it to that and see. And I was like, oh, I didn't really like the feel for it too much. And just now we just did that quick little test where, it sent me to DeSoto National Park for our office. And, it's just not. It's not. I mean, if Apple was going to try to crowdsource their data, they should have said that from the start. They should have said, like, hey, guys, you know what? You're going to have some kinks with the Apple software, with Apple Maps, but just bear with us.
Yeah,
but they didn't. They did not say that. They were just like, oh, iOS 6, ready to go. Everything's perfect, Yeah.
I mean, they sold it as a Maps replacement, a Google Maps replacement, and it's clearly not. It's clearly a beta
Far
service.
from it.
Yeah.
Do you think is that an arrogance problem on the side of Apple?
That they just thought that, like, well, people will get used to it, or people will use it until it's better, you mean?
Or they'll tolerate it just because it's an Apple product and it's something, like it's a branded Apple Maps product rather than having to go with Google on an Apple. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, at one point I would have agreed with you, but if now at this point in time we look back and we think of certain Apple products like Mobile Me never really caught on. Ping never caught on. All of the mice they ever built until the Magic Mouse. They're starting to get a history of releasing certain things a little bit before their time, which it just doesn't seem to compute with a company like Apple that tends to have everything so tightly together as they go.
Agreed.
It is weird. Very weird step for them to take, and I don't know. I guess we're going to just have to see if people stick with it, or when Google Map app comes out, that everyone's just going to jump ship to it.
Right.
But I was also surprised that you said you waited, Louis, because I mean, personally speaking, I'm always the type that's like, "There's a new update."
Right.
Like I'm the first to slap the button and then realize that I can't go back and I've like lost everything. So like, it's very respectable. You can see the new updates out and not be like knee-jerk reaction update.
No, I was super excited to upgrade, but I was like, all right, first of all, I'm going to wait till midnight because I know the servers were getting like crammed. And then I was like, you know what? I like my iPhone 4S a lot. It's really fast. Let me upgrade the iPod Touch first and see, and just see what it's like and take it from there. And,
that's a good thing you did.
Yeah. I mean, had I not had my iPod Touch, I probably would have upgraded the iPhone, and then I would have been like, crap, I'm stuck with Apple Maps now. But, but yeah, now that I see all these Apple Map
I know. It's
longer. Yeah.
Right. So you're gonna wait until there's a Google Map app so that you can upgrade everything else and then still have the same map.
There you go. Then slap that on.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to something else. I don't know. Just a note to say that the Apple iPhone 5 has sold so well that there is now a 3 to 4 week waiting period for the iPhone 5.
Wow.
I don't know if that's going to have any change made to it based on how the maps are doing, but I just thought I'd point that out. I don't know. I don't know if this is worth mentioning, but I did read that theft of Apple products in New York is up
It's ridiculous.
40%
Wow.
year over year, which is especially notable because regular crimes, the daily the crimes you have every day, those have only risen 4%. So people really like stealing Apple products in New York City. So
So now we're
keep your
just going to
iPhone
have
safe out there, guys.
An Apple crime index
Yeah.
is what we're going to have.
Yeah,
Apple
exactly.
crime blotter.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Although I have to, I'm guilty of that. I do take out my iPhone. No, no,
You
no.
steal
Oh, I
iPhones
thought,
all
yeah,
the
I
time.
thought he was like, it was true confessions. I was ready to call the police right now.
I take out my iPhone in public pretty much all the time. Like checking email, answering email,
Yeah.
using Google Maps, or just when I shouldn't be taking my phone out. On the subway, I'll be like Angry Birding or something like that.
But
And
isn't that
I
what
should stop.
the product's for? I mean, you shouldn't have to be afraid to take out a portable device like that wherever you are. I mean, granted, yes, crime's up 40% in the New York area for Apple products, but that wouldn't deter me from not checking my phone, because then what's the point?
Yeah. Well, I
You
mean,
know?
I guess it's like one of those things. You choose the times when it's most prudent. Like
Right.
don't walk around with your face in an app as you're walking down the street listening to music at midnight on a deserted street.
Right.
Exactly.
But on a crowded train, see, I don't really know when these crime instances are taking place. But if there's a 40% rise to a total of 11,447 incidents between
Wow.
January 1st and September 23rd, that's a lot of incidents. So that's not all like late night mugging or anything like that. It's probably going to be like
Prime rush hour, probably.
yeah, right. Like you're waiting on the platform and some guy just yanks it out of your hand and like bolts up the
Runs.
stairs
Yeah.
or whatever. I don't know.
Or
I don't know when I
maybe
say
your,
that, like
your
broad
iPad's in
daylight.
your backpack and somebody just walks up behind you and grabs it or something like that. I don't know. I mean, it didn't unless there's more information there that it's like violent crime, like somebody gets knocked down for their iPhone or something.
I don't think they would have pointed out that it's violent crime. I would hope.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I guess New York City is the Gotham City for iPhones. We need a iBatman to save us from all this. No spoilers. I still haven't seen the most recent movie, so
Maybe it's just one person doing all these crimes.
yeah, like a criminal mastermind.
Exactly.
iMind.
He's that one bad apple. I had to get that in somehow. It's like I was sitting there for 10 minutes.
And it works on two levels because the Big Apple and
Big
Apple, Big Apple.
Thank
Listeners and viewers, if you have better Apple puns for this story, send them to podcast@dealnews.com. All right, let's move on to our next story. This is about the Wii U. It was announced recently of when it would come out and what it would cost, but what are the details, Louis?
Yes, so it's official now. The Wii U, it's coming out. It's coming out November 18th here in the U.S., which I believe is the Sunday before Black Friday, which is interesting timing. And the price will be, I believe, the 8 gig is $299, and there's a 32 gig deluxe version, which comes with a couple of stands and chargers and whatnot for $349. And so they're ready. Nintendo's ready. So it was Toys R Us, Best Buy, GameStop. They all had pre-orders, and they're gone.
Oh,
Seriously?
Pre-orders are sold out.
well, how does Toys R Us even know how many they're going to get to offer pre-orders? Are people sure that when they pre-order it from Toys R Us that they're even going to actually get the product? I
I would
mean,
assume so. They have some level of guarantee there that if you're pre-ordering, you'll get it.
Yeah, you have to have a guarantee where you get so many units allocated
Yeah.
to the larger retail chains.
right. Yeah, I mean, I guess someone behind the scenes at Toys R Us must have been speaking to Nintendo about this. in order to offer up, because I mean, what if they were like, all right, we have 10,000 units to sell, and then Nintendo's like, well, wait, we're not. No. And then Toys R Us is like, you guys are gonna have to wait like 6 months for orders. So yeah, all right. So they must have figured that out. What do you guys think of the $299 and the $349 price for this thing? Is that too much?
I'm not buying it.
Yeah. Well, in what way? Actually,
yeah, in what way?
Literally
not buying it.
Either way, I probably won't. I just haven't found a console that really piqued my interest enough to make me want to go slap down some cash.
Not even the fact that this has a touchscreen handheld and everything.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just a curmudgeon.
Lewis, what do you think about the price of this doohickey?
It's interesting that it went up. The original Wii was $249. This one's $299. But at the same time, think when the PS3 first came out, that sucker was what, $499.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is a next-gen console, so we really shouldn't complain that much about it. I mean, it would have been nice had they been able to hit $249 again, but they couldn't. And I mean,
I don't know. Everyone's saying that the components inside the Wii U are maybe slightly under or just on par with the components that are in the PlayStation 3 and even the Xbox 360.
So it's got to be the tablet that's raising that price then.
Yeah. So, I mean, you say that it's a next-generation device, but, well, I mean, I guess when the Wii came out, they said that was their next-generation device, and it was pretty much just a dolled-up GameCube, right? They didn't have that much faster processor in it, so they were never ones to try and leapfrog the current
hardware.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know. At $299, like, especially with the baggage that comes with Wii, knowing that when I got one, I really loved it for a good solid 6 months, and then haven't played it since. Like at $299, I'm figuring like, well, $299 for 6 months of play. That's not the best thing,
I'd rather at $299. I'd rather get a cheap tablet. Me personally, I'd rather get whether it's a Kindle or
Kindle
a
Fire.
Nexus. Yeah, exactly. Because I know that that's something that I'm going to play around with for the full year or even longer. Versus the Wii U, where I might, like you said, Jeff, I might be really into it the first months, and then it's just going to collect dust right next to my 360, which I haven't turned on in God knows how long.
Here's my one question about. I mean, does anybody in their marketing department think of all the jokes that are going to be made about the name? Because if this thing really bombs, how many PU jokes are there going to be? You know what I mean? It's just like I was just sitting there thinking Wii was bad enough, but then to take it to the next level, it's just like I would think that they would come up with something that's a little more edgy, cutting.
Or is it so clever because it is such the easy joke that certainly not like mainstream media outlets won't go for that easy joke? Especially because it would be slightly scatological as well, like with the Wii stuff. So they kind of like took that away by making it so easy.
That's true.
Only the worst easy joke going bloggers like myself.
Myself, I was just going to say I was going to raise my hand. Thank you.
So like we'd go for that joke. We'd go for that joke. But like, the New York Times probably wouldn't go for that joke, or because they would try and come up with something a little more clever.
Right.
So you can't go for the obvious joke. So
I guess you could say when I said we, I meant you. So that'd be a good way to put it.
Royal we,
the royal we, if you will.
So they're sold out, and now you can get them on eBay, is what you said, right?
Yeah, for about like $900, of course.
Wow.
eBay has like a.
All right. So if you would pay $299, would you pay $900? Version of it? Which is interesting. Like if someone buys it on eBay for $900, you're hoping that Nintendo's supply is good enough to fulfill the pre-orders, that Toys R Us didn't oversell on pre-orders, and then you're actually going to get it. And then once the guy that pre-ordered it from Toys R Us gets it, he's actually going to then forward it to you for the $900 price that you paid.
Right.
That's a lot of what-ifs.
Yeah, you're right.
A lot of what-ifs. But I'm sure that, once again, this is going to be the item to get for this holiday season.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to ask Lewis. Do you think this is going to be the Black Friday item? And I mean, it's pretty obvious to me that they're releasing it before Black Friday so that they can lump it all together and say this is the largest selling console of the Black Friday shopping season.
Well, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, it's a pretty smart move on them that they'll be able to say that. But yeah, I think, it'll be this, of course, the iPhone 5, and if that iPad mini rumor is true, that's probably going to be just as hot.
Oh, I forgot about the iPad mini.
Yeah. Although that one's getting
with Apple Maps.
Not with Apple Maps.
Selling point. See, it would be great if they delayed the iPad mini until they got the Google Map apps back, and then they'll be like, now with better maps. All right, let's see. We have time for maybe another quick story. Why don't we talk about the Nook Video? Barnes & Noble has announced that they will soon be streaming and selling video. They didn't really say if there would be a new tablet for it or if it would be an update to it. They just said that they would have it and that they are going to hook up with HBO, Sony, Starz, Warner Brothers, and Disney to provide content. Now, that's pretty cool, but the thing that really takes it to the next level for me is that this video content is going to be available through their apps, so other smartphone apps as well as TV apps, which honestly is something that Amazon's not doing.
Right.
Because like I have an Amazon Prime account, and the only place I can watch my Amazon Prime streaming movies are online or through, like, if I pay for Xbox Live on my TV. I can't load it up on my phone. So if Nook can beat them to, like, universal streaming of their video content, what do you think? Do you think they have something there if they do it?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think that's a pretty huge selling point. I mean, I think they would be smart if they took this new device and just called it Nookflix.
Nookflix.
We'll see, and then you throw in the fact that it's also going to have ultraviolet integration with it, and even on the apps. So things that you bought hard copies of will, that's the ultraviolet is the digital locker where you buy the version and it's available anywhere through their digital locker. That's another big selling point from it. I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think of it?
I don't know. For me, there's just too many there's too many questions unanswered. Really, sorry, it's gonna have ultraviolet. You're gonna be able to do play it on pretty much every device, right? But I mean, I don't know. I guess my faith in Barnes & Noble isn't as strong as my faith in Amazon. I prefer Amazon's ecosystem more so than Barnes & Noble. It's almost like Barnes & Noble just saying, like, hey, look at us. We're capable of doing something similar, but you need a Nook.
Right. So will this be another, when the Nook got backlighting first, or when there was the Nook tablet? Honestly, the Nook tablet was beat the Kindle Fire, but everyone kind of waited for the Kindle Fire, and everyone, now that there's a Kindle with backlight, they all go for that. So this is just going to be another where the Also Ran comes out with it first, but then Amazon is like, oh yeah, we can integrate that too, no problem, and everyone's like, okay, we'll wait for Amazon to make to solve this before we jump ship to Barnes & Noble. All right, I'll agree with you on that then.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, and do I have time to hit the next story? Yes. Fox has decided to kick off their digital HD initiative. So they are doling out movies to Google Play and YouTube and all other sorts of streaming services, or video stores, online video stores, so that you can buy their movies before there's a hard copy available for it, and for less money than the hard copy is going to be available for in the future.
Wow.
We've finally gotten everything that we've wanted, right? I mean, we always complained that we had to wait until the Blu-ray came out, and then a couple months after that we can buy the digital version of it for about the same cost as it would take to buy the Blu-ray version of it. But now they're going to be releasing movies like Prometheus. You can buy it now, which is 3 weeks before the Blu-ray comes out, for $15. So I ask you, now that we have everything we want, is early access to it at $15 good, or are people still going to complain about this?
We'll always find something to complain about. It's not a. I don't think. I think it's a great feature to have, and it's nice that it's available. But I don't know. I think there's still something to be said about buying, at least for me, in movies. Music's, and I don't know why music is different for me, but buying a movie feels better when I can actually go and I've got the jewel case that's got the actual disc in it, and I can say, I've got this in my hand, whereas music, it doesn't seem to matter so much, and I'm not 100% sure why that is.
Yeah, I wonder what's wrong with you, Dad? I wonder.
Well, my wife's a therapist. She's been working on this for 4 years now, so good luck.
I don't know. Is it just that digital music, maybe you don't... I don't know. It's weird because, see, I would think that you would have the opposite feeling for it. Like, you want to get the liner notes and you want to get the paper. You want to read some,
right?
Like the poem that the lead singer wrote in the liner notes. But for like a DVD, most times it's like the thing that you get in the disc is just
nothing extra, really.
Right. It's that one slip of paper with the poster with the track
listing. It's just fluff. Basically, it's packaging is all that it is. So I don't know. It's kind of a weird. It's a weird thing because I was thinking about this last night. In fact, we had bought. My wife had bought me the first season of Grimm, the TV show, and we really got into it. Really enjoy it. And I know we're halfway through the second season, and they're going, man, I'm waiting for, Netflix or somebody to come out with the second season, and I'm going, well, man, but I'd really like to have the physical copy so I could have it, like, right next to the first copy. I don't know whether it's like I got a hoarder thing going on as I'm getting older or what the deal is.
Is any part of it maybe the fact that buying a digital copy of a movie still has a lot of DRM on it, whereas now when you buy from pretty much any music store, it's all MP3s. So I know that like when Amazon goes away, if I have downloaded those MP3s to my computer, I'm keeping them. Whereas with a movie that I get from Amazon, if Amazon goes away, I might not get it. I mean, they'll probably figure some way of letting me keep it or whatever. But
yeah, I think that's probably part of it. I think that is. I don't think we've gotten to the point where it's like, okay, I've got a copy of Blade Runner now that I can own forever. That's safely tucked away in the cloud or some place where it's easily accessible that is never going to go away. Maybe when we get to that point, it'll change. But I don't know. It's an interesting thing. I'll think about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do a follow-up.
All the movies that you get from Amazon, you're not really storing them on your hard drive. I mean, you could buy them and download them, but it just doesn't, to me at least, it doesn't feel the same. It does feel like there's something temporary about digital movies that I bought rather than digital music. But I don't know.
It's kind of like when you're a kid and you have to go and ask mom and dad for the cookies out of the jar that's on top of the fridge because you can't reach it. It's that whole thing of going and asking for, I'd like to watch The Creature from the Black Lagoon, please.
Right.
All right.
Yes, we will allow that. Even worse, it's kind of like you bought the cookies and then mom and dad put it in the cookie jar on the top shelf. You're like, that's a little weird. It's for your best. It's in your best interest, son.
Right.
It's for you. We're doing it for you.
It's true.
All right, guys, that is about all the time we have, so I want to thank you guys for joining me.
We want to thank you.
Oh, well, you're welcome. I don't know. That always seems
us.
weird, like, in this instance, saying you're welcome.
I know.
What did I
weird. So
what did I
thank you for acknowledging that we thank you.
Oh, well, you're welcome. Oh, it still feels weird.
Moving on.
Listeners, for links to today's stories, Twitter feeds, blog links, and more, go to our show notes page. Also, feel free to send us feedback to podcast@dealnews.com. Also, if you've enjoyed anything that you've heard today, why not go over to our iTunes page or our podcatcher of choice or even the Deal News YouTube page and give us 5 stars or a like or something like that. We'd really appreciate it. It would be very nice of you. All right, that's it. I'm Jeff Somogyi. Goodbye.